My dad is secretly planning to leave my mom. And I know it. I'm 28, my dad is 64, and my mom is 45. I recently encountered a situation that has literally thrown me off balance, and now I just don't know how to deal with it. It all started with one phone call. My dad called me late one night while he was on a business trip. He was clearly drunk, his voice was slurred, his words were slurred. I thought he just wanted to chat or share something small. But what I heard completely changed everything. He started talking about his elaborate plan to leave my mom. Yes, that's right. He was discussing with me in all seriousness how he intended to leave his family. My parents had always been a couple with a, to put it mildly, odd relationship. My mom struggled with anger and alcoholism from a young age. She could be very abrupt, sometimes even violent. Dad, on the other hand, always seemed unfazed. He worked and made good money, about $250,000 a year, which allowed my mom to never work. She was totally dependent on him, and he knew it. My therapist once explained that Dad probably married Mom out of guilt. When they met, she was only 16 and he was 35. Mom got pregnant almost immediately, and he apparently decided to do the right thing. Except their marriage was no fairy tale. So, that night, Dad told me that he couldn't divorce Mom now. Why not? Because if he did, he'd have to pay her a lot more in child support. He said he'd wait until he retired, and then she'd get a lot less. I was so uncomfortable hearing that. I said, "Why are you telling me this?" And he said, "If you don't believe me, call your sisters." I have two sisters, a younger sister, 24 years old, and an older half-sister, 36 years old, from my dad's first marriage. I called the younger one first. She said that Dad calls her regularly too, discussing his plans and, in her words, almost enjoying the way he wants to set up Mom. Then I talked to my half-sister and she told me the same thing. She, by the way, hasn't spoken to our mom in a long time, but even she is pissed off at how cynical it all sounds. I'm in a terrible moral dilemma right now. The thing is, my mom is far from perfect. As a child, she was an abusive mother. I remember her anger lashing out at my sister and me. There were even calls to child services because of her outbursts and physical abuse. She was cheating on my dad, causing scandals. After my 18th birthday, we stopped talking altogether for several years. But here's the important thing, Mom changed. She started taking medication for ADHD, which helps her deal with her impulsivity. She became calmer, kinder. We started working on our relationship, and over the past few years, she has become not only a part of my life, but a better grandmother to my daughter. Now my mom helps me while my husband is on a business trip. She supports me, spoils my daughter, but also always follows my rules. She explains what she is doing, why, consults with me. I can see how hard she is trying. And now I'm stumped. I know Daddy is waiting for the moment to strike her when she's not expecting it. But I also know that Mom doesn't have the resources to deal with such a shock. She depends on him financially. She's invested her whole life into this relationship. Here's what I'm thinking. Should I tell my mom? She has a right to know, but won't I ruin her if I do? Should I talk to my dad and try to understand why he chose this path? Or should I get them together and try to have an open conversation? Or, more importantly, is it even my responsibility? I'm stuck between two fires. I don't know what the right thing to do is. Please help me figure it out.
A Reddit user writes, "I lied on my resume and got a job paying $140,000 in finance. I'm going to be upfront. I lied on my resume. And it worked. I'm not proud of it, but here I am, with a $140,000 a year job in business banking, and I'm still wrapping my head around how it all happened. To give you a bit of context, I've been working in finance and banking for about 3 years now, but my background isn't exactly typical for this field. Before I entered the world of finance, I was running my own small business in disability support work. I loved what I did, but when COVID hit, my business collapsed. Overnight, everything I worked so hard for came crashing down. The loss was devastating, but it led me to the banking world. I started out as a bank teller. It wasn't glamorous, but I quickly realized how much I liked working in finance. I was good with numbers, people, and the job felt more stable than running a business. After about a year of working as a teller, I got promoted to a personal banker. It wasn't a huge leap, but it gave me more responsibility, and I excelled in the role. I worked hard, hit my targets, and really started to enjoy what I was doing. At that point, I began getting ambitious. I wanted more. I wanted to move up in the company and take on something bigger. So, I started looking into management positions in business banking. When I found an opening for a business banking manager, I thought, why not? This could be my chance. But there was one problem. The job description. It clearly stated that the role required a degree, or close to finishing one, previous lending experience with businesses, and a track record of managing high-value clients. At that moment, I realized I had none of those things. I didn't have a degree, I hadn't done any actual business lending, and while I had dealt with business clients in my personal banker role, it wasn't the same as what they were asking for. But here's the thing. I wasn't going to let that stop me. I wasn't about to let this opportunity slip away. So, I decided to stretch the truth. I had technically enrolled in business school years ago, but I never finished. I put on my resume that I had 1 year remaining to complete my degree. It was a white lie, but it seemed harmless enough. The bigger stretch was the business lending experience. In my previous job, I had helped some business customers with their personal accounts, but I had never been involved in lending to businesses. So, I did what anyone in my position would do. I Googled everything I could about business credit, financial reports, and the lingo that bankers use when talking about business loans. I studied the terms, the processes, and even the kinds of questions they might ask me in the interview. I remember the interview clearly. I went in, knowing I had to nail it. They asked me about my experience with business lending, and for a moment, I felt a wave of panic. But then, I remembered everything I had learned. I spoke confidently about the process of assessing credit for businesses, how I had worked with high-value clients, and how I could bring my skills to manage a team. I was careful not to reveal how much I was faking it, but I think I did a good job convincing them that I knew what I was talking about. To my complete surprise, I got the job. Not just any job, an $140,000 a year business banking manager position. A massive jump from my previous salary of $75,000. When I saw the offer letter, I couldn't believe it. I kept thinking, did they really not notice? Was I that convincing? I'll be honest, I didn't feel entirely good about how I got here. I knew what I did wasn't ethical, and I don't take lying lightly. But I also couldn't deny how much I wanted this opportunity. It felt like my one shot to change my life, and in a way, I felt like I had no other choice but to go for it. Now, I'm in this incredible role, making 6 figures, and I'm trying to figure out how to prove myself. I'm learning every day, doing my best to actually live up to the job title and the responsibilities that come with it. But the fear of being caught is always there. I'm terrified that one day, someone will find out the truth about my resume. Here's where I'm stuck. Should I come clean? Should I tell my boss the truth and risk everything? Or should I just keep my head down, keep working hard, and hope that no one ever digs into my past? I'm terrified of the fallout if the truth comes out, but I also know that if I keep lying, it's only a matter of time before it catches up to me. What would you do? Should I be honest, or is it too late to turn back now? A Reddit user writes, I feel miserable. The last few years have been a time of change and what I thought was liberation for me. After going through a psychiatric hospital and completing a course of treatment, I made the decision to leave my old life behind. I quit my job, moved out of my apartment, broke up with my ex-partner and decided to travel. I was living on savings and felt truly free. I was confident and felt like I was starting to live my life again, following my own desires and goals. However, upon returning to reality, I realized that the freedom was temporary. I now found myself in the same place I started from, but with some new circumstances. I was back to a job that, although it was making money, was slowly killing me. It seems simple, a steady income, but I can feel this job consuming me, my strength and energy. It gives me no inspiration or desire to move forward. I feel trapped again. I have a new girlfriend and it was fun at first, but now everything has changed. We are on the verge of breaking up. She doesn't know what she wants and it's starting to affect me as well. She has a lot of options and as a result I am losing my bearings in my life. Along with this, I have moved into a new apartment. It's big, it's expensive, but it's a place that only causes me anxiety. After the free time I spent traveling, this apartment now feels like a real prison. I feel like a money slave. To maintain this standard of living, I need to earn more and more and it consumes me completely. My girlfriend criticizes me all the time. I don't eat healthy enough, I don't exercise, I don't have the clothes she would like, I don't do things the way she thinks is right. In her opinion, I wouldn't even be a good father. She claims that I am the cause of her bad moods and problems. I don't feel like myself anymore. This is not the person I was even a couple years ago. This is not the person I would want in my life. It's as if I'm starting to be taken apart every time she tells me I'm not good enough. At first, when she treated me with love, it was all okay, but now it's all changed. I became dependent on her emotions. When I got sick and felt bad, I was hoping for support, but instead I heard that it was all because I wasn't practicing and taking care of myself. Her words only made me feel worse. I just wish she would have supported me, told me everything would be okay. But instead I feel like I'm losing myself in this relationship. I was so enlightened and aware when I came back from my travels. I was off alcohol and drugs, watching my diet, seeking balance and peace in my life. But now, along with it, my life has become filled with stress, addiction, and unnecessary problems. I have lost my spirituality and my connection to the world. My head is full of thoughts again, and I don't feel connected to myself or the world around me. I realize now that I just want to escape. I need some time to stop and sort myself out. I want to save up money and travel again. I dream of visiting a Shaolin monastery where I can regain my strength and find myself. I want to eat good food, exercise not only my body but also my mind, and avoid winter, which depresses me. I feel depressed, and sometimes thoughts of ending it all pop into my head. I imagine ways to commit suicide, and I'm scared of it. I realize that there are people out there who are much worse off than I am, and that my problems seem like nothing compared to what others are going through. But it's still hard for me in this moment. I just wanted to share this and vent my feelings. I need more people to support me. I've lost touch with myself, with the world, and with what really matters. I've become miserable, and it's not just a feeling. It's a reality that I'm having a hard time accepting. Subscribe to the channel to find out more interesting things.